It's time for upset meter. We got four teams. If you don't know the rules, we pick four teams. What's the one qualification? Has to be a 10-point spread at least. Last week we had Michigan. We rated them cold. It was very cold. But we also on this list we had Kansas State. Yikes. They lost. We had Miami. Yikes. They lost. And then we had USC in a 21.5-point spread. We put them on this list. And yikes, they went to overtime with Arizona. So these are teams that are on upset alert. Granted, I feel better about some of them than I feel with others. Let's talk about Utah first. They're playing Cal at home. That is a huge factor. Utah does not lose at home. 13.5-point favorites against Cal. Cal's been playing pretty decent football, if you ask me, for Cal standards. And Utah offensively struggled a lot. I don't think Cam Rising is going to be back for this next game. I don't know if he's going to be back at all this season. It feels like the news just keeps coming out. He keeps working, right? But it's the same injury that Hendon Hooker had, and he's not going to even play for the entire rest of this NFL season. So he's completely sitting out. So Cam Rising's done plenty for that program, but we might have to start looking at Utah moving forward as a team that's not going to have Cam Rising. So, anyways, for this, I have this game right around sweating. I get it that Utah's at home and they handled a team like UCLA at home, right, with that defense just absolutely balling out. But they lose another running back in that running back room to injury. That's just not a starter, but depth piece. It just feels like injuries, man, like might start catching up to Utah pretty soon here. Now, obviously, I trust Kyle Whittingham with my life because that guy just knows how to win football games. But I rated about sweating. Definitely not steaming because it's at home. But if it was on the road, I think it might get piping. But because it's at home, that's all valuable home field advantages for them. I have it rated here at about sweating.
I would agree, absolutely. And how about California? Fernando Mendoza, right? He came in last week against Oregon State and played pretty well. They put up a lot of points there. The freshman there did. Yeah, I want Cam Rising to get healthy so bad. So bad. I think we all do. Maybe if you're in the Pac-12 and you're not named Utah, maybe you don't, but they need him back badly. I was hoping Nate Johnson would do some things there, but I think they got a bye week. They much needed that bye week. They played a bunch of physical football games. They got it right. I trust Kyle Whittingham to get it done, and yeah, so I'm definitely not overly confident because of the quarterback situation there, and because California is coming in there, and they're not that bad a football team. But yeah, I think at home, off a bye, good coaching staff. Give me Utah to win. I'm not too worried.
All right. Throw that in there. Florida State, 17.5-point favorites against the Fighting Garrett Traders. Notice I didn't say the Fighting Syracuse Orange because it is just Garrett Trader on that team. And that is why I'm not worried about this game in the slightest. We had Michigan cold against Minnesota last week. I put Florida State in that category as well. I do not see a scenario in which Florida State loses this football game.
Uh, I'm with you here. I think at home too. What's going for Syracuse right now? They kind of got bullied by Clemson, pulled away. You got bullied by North Carolina last week. The Garrett Shredder magic has run out so far this year in this stretch of series. Right, we talked about this was going to be their brutal stretch. Clemson at North Carolina at Florida State, and then you can get into a bye week and rest up. But we're still in that stretch here. I'm not too worried at all. Give me Florida State. Absolutely. I'd put them probably in the cold area as well. Maybe even below cold.
Yeah, I agree 1,000%. All right, LSU. They're at home against Auburn. Line's minus 11.5. You can get at 11 at some places. To me, what's wrong with LSU, right? It's their pass defense, giving up explosive plays. And they're playing the one team in the SEC that I am not worried about that happening at all. And also, Auburn has not handled like pressure on the passer as well either. Like, one, they haven't been able to throw the ball well. Part of that's because they've given up a lot of pressure to the quarterback. And credit LSU for being able to do that against Missouri down the stretch, getting pressure on Brady Cook and making those plays. So even though like LSU's secondary is pretty abysmal right now, I think if they just get to the passer, I think they can find a way to beat Auburn here pretty handily. I think this offense is way too explosive. Doesn't matter what defense you're throwing out there. Jaden Daniels is playing at such a high level right now. Yeah, I put this is a mild play for me. Right, this is mild. This is not sweating because I don't trust Auburn's passing offense. But at the same time, in the SEC, we've seen crazy things happen. LSU also gets this one at home, so
That's nice for them to come back home. Yeah, like you said, that matchup between Peyton Thorne or whoever they throw out there against LSU. Auburn is coming off a bye, right? LSU did have to go to Missouri and play in a pretty hard fought game for two straight weeks in a row. But yeah, Auburn, if they're gonna win this game, they're gonna have to throw the ball effectively, right? And that I think that means they're gonna have to throw the ball early and often on first down and try to push the ball on the field before you give LSU a chance to buckle down on third down and really come after the pass rusher. I just don't think they have the weapons or the consistency on offense to do that. And that if you do that, if you try to do that, you come out and you miss, then it's look into a real big blowout here. And that's where I do think it might be heading for Auburn there, especially at LSU. So yeah, I'm not too worried in this game exactly. But like we said, it's the SEC. Especially in this game, Auburn always plays LSU in a good game. And that could happen this year, but I don't see it happening.
yeah, it's not exactly cold for me, but it's definitely a mild for sure. Maryland, they play Illinois, and that game's at home as well. The common denominator though with all these games that these are all at home, so pretty interesting to me. Not gonna lie, but I do think Illinois has been playing some pretty abysmal football for what we thought it was going to be this year.
That
That was
that
a
that
huge
is
miss
that
by
is
the
being
Hokies.
nice. That is being nice. Abysmal is it has been like demoting level. Like they could be demoted, right, to the FCS because of how just poor they've played at home and on the road.
Yeah, and Maryland's been playing good. Look, I mean, it's Ohio State. Like they were up in that game. Like and they've played well defensively at times until Ohio State said, "Let's play the Marvin Harrison Jr. game." Right, but not seen any Marvin Harrison Juniors in Illinois. Not seen it, and I believe Josh McCray just went. He went down. He got hurt. Correct me. I think Reggie Love's the one that's helped. Josh McCray, I believe, went down. But comment section, you can correct me on if I'm wrong on that. But Illinois got that freshman right that everyone's been wanting them to play. Absolute massive unit of a body. I think Maryland can handle them though. Luke Altmaier's not looked great. Whoever they throw back there, I mean, it's just not working right now. It's just not working. So I'm not worried about this game at all. This is a mild play, and I'm less worried about Maryland than I am worried about LSU. And I'm not very worried about LSU at all.
I couldn't agree more. I think this part of this is because I do think Maryland is maybe a better football team than I thought they were going to be, but part of this is also Illinois has just really, really not impressed at any point in any game that they've played all year. Even going back to the first game, yes, Toledo is not terrible, right? They're a good team in the MAC there, but they snuck out a win against Toledo and against FAU. It's not going to happen here against Maryland on the road.
Both
No,
both
thank
were
you.
close games, by the way.
That's what I'm saying. They snuck them out at home. When they went on the road, they've played Kansas and they played Purdue, and they got boat raced in both of them. And I think that could there's reason this line is at 14. Sometimes you can find value in those high lines. Not in this game. I do think, at least on the side of Illinois, I don't really see them, making this a close game. That's why I'm not too worried.
Yeah, I agree. I'm putting them right there. Yeah, so to recap, I mean Florida State way cold against Syracuse. They're gonna win that game. Maryland also have that game pretty cold as well. But also we had Miami right in that range last week. Now, granted, Miami should have won that game. I mean, no one's arguing that. But outgaining them by like 300 yards before that last play and then not taking the knee, like goodness, I mean, I think we were right to put them there. LSU, I mean, they're right there. I don't know. I really like LSU this week, and we might see here in a second that I like them a lot. And Utah just their offense is struggling a little bit. We got them in sweating territory against Cal, so